What do a high school on the brink of collapse, analysts burying us live, and a veteran turned mentor have in common? The most Bears season ever urgent. The defense that promised to be a wall is now hanging by a thread. Can the line step back before Jefferson sinks us? Exclusive. ESPN has already written us off, but wait till you see what we have planned to silence critics on the first drive. Hint, it's an attack even the Lions didn't see coming. Mentor alert. Ryan Poles made a move so underrated that even the Vikings laughed. Until they found out this journeyman QB trained the rookie who knocked them out of the playoff. He's not a coach, he's a weapon, confessed a player under anonymity. We begin with the news that's got everyone feeling queasy. Kyler Gordon, our starting nickel cornerback, has been added to the injury report as questionable due to a hamstring injury. And folks, this isn't just another routine injury update. This is a potential catastrophe unfolding before our eyes. To grasp the magnitude of this problem, we have to talk about who Kyler Gordon really is in this defensive scheme. We are not talking about some dispensable backup warming the bench. Gordon is our starting nickel cornerback, a position that has become absolutely crucial in the modern NFL dominated by the aerial game. When facing Justin Jefferson and the explosive Vikings receiving core, having Gordon on the sidelines is like showing up to a gunfight with a butter knife. The timing couldn't be worse. And this is what worries me most as an analyst who has been following this team for decades. Gordon already battled this same hamstring injury back in August, missing valuable practice time during training camp. Head coach Ben Johnson labeled him as week to week on August 13th, and while Gordon returned to limited practice 70 days later, hamstring injuries have a nasty habit of lingering like that friend who stays at your house longer than they should. But if you think Gordon's injury is the only cornerback concern for the Chicago Bears, you are completely wrong. This secondary is more battered than a demolition derby call. Pro Bowl cornerback Jaylon Johnson has been dealing with a severe groin injury before training camp even began. He only just returned to practice this week for the first time and carries a questionable designation for Monday night. Losing Johnson would be catastrophic because he's our lockdown corner who can mark elite receivers. But wait, there's more bad news. Josh Blackwell, Gordon's primary backup in the slot, is also questionable with his own groin strain. The Bears' cornerback depth chart is starting to resemble more of a hospital patient list than an NFL roster. What makes this situation even more heartbreaking is how it undermines everything the Chicago Bears have built this offseason. General Manager Ryan Poles went all in to surround quarterback Caleb Williams with talent. The offense looked explosive in preseason. Johnson's innovative plays had fans dreaming of playoff runs, but football is still won and lost in the trenches. And coverage. If the Bears can't cover Minnesota's receivers, all those offensive weapons won't matter. Williams might throw for 400 yards and still watch his team lose in a shootout. The psychological impact on this young team cannot be underestimated. These players have been hearing all summer about how they're the most improved team in the league. They've been reading about their Super Bowl potential. Now they're facing the very real prospect of starting their season without two of their top three cornerbacks. This is exactly the kind of adversity that will define whether Ben Johnson can truly transform the culture of this team. Because it's one thing to talk about systems and schemes when everyone is healthy, and quite another to find solutions when your plan A, B, and possibly C are sitting in the training room. Now let's move on to the topic that has me absolutely fed up. The shameful flip-flopping of ESPN analyst Peter Schrager on his NFC North prediction. And this, dear Bears fans, is precisely why we shouldn't pay attention to these so-called experts who change their minds faster than Chicago weather in spring. Monday Night Football can't come soon enough. And no, seriously, we're going to kick off the NFL season before these supposed experts change their predictions again. By the time the Chicago Bears actually play the Minnesota Vikings in their Week 1 primetime matchup at Soldier Field, head coach Ben Johnson will be everything from overrated to a genius, and quarterback Caleb Williams will either be a dyslexic, bust, or the next MVP. We know this. The Bears have their hands full in the NFC North. They haven't won the division since 2018, nor a playoff game since 2010. Last year, they went 5-12 and were the only North team not to make the postseason. The Detroit Lions have dominated the division the past two. seasons with a 27-5 record. Last year they swept the North, beating the Vikings to secure the NFC's top seed in the final weekend. The Green Bay Packers just traded for Micah Parsons, the Bears added Johnson, and everything is so confusing. Just ask ESPN analyst Peter Schrager. Speaking of changing minds, in the span of 2 days, 48 hours, he went from pronouncing the Lions as a playoff team, how original, to the Lions not being a playoff team. Headlines. On September 2nd, Schrager appeared on ESPN's Pat McAfee show and said the Packers, Vikings, and Lions would all be playoff teams again this season. Schrager said of Chicago, "I don't think the Bears are in that conversation." Okay, fair enough, but wait. Just 2 days later, September 4th, Schrager returned to McAfee's show and flipped his opinion with a bold prediction that, on second thought, the Lions aren't a playoff team. Schrager said, "I don't have the Detroit Lions making the playoffs." Along with both coordinators' losses, Johnson to the Bears and Aaron Glenn to the New York Jets. Schrager based his opinion on the NFC North is loaded. You know what bothers me most about this situation? It's not just that an analyst changed their mind, because we all have the right to reconsider our positions when new information comes. What bothers me is the absolute lack of consistency and the reactive nature of these analyses. These guys on ESPN and other national networks form opinions based on headlines and Twitter trends instead of real and deep analysis. One day the Lions are contenders because they have talent. 2 days later they aren't contenders because they lost coordinators. Where was that consideration about the coordinators when he made his first prediction? And look at how he described our Bears. I don't think the Bears are in that conversation yet. Yet? Like we're some rebuilding project just learning to walk. We have a defense that was top 10 last year when healthy. We have a first-round quarterback in his second year with more weapons than ever. We have a head coach who just coordinates one of the best offenses in the NFL with Detroit. But of course, national media doesn't see that. They only see last year's 5-12 record and assume nothing has changed. They don't see the improvements in the offensive line. They don't see Caleb Williams' development. They don't see the impact Ben Johnson is already having on the team's culture. We're ready for more football and less flip-flopping, as the article says. And when we come out tomorrow night and give the Vikings a lesson in our house, I want all these armchair analysts to remember their hate. Now let's talk about an acquisition that didn't grab many headlines, but might be one of the smartest moves Ryan Poles made this offseason. Signing Case Keenum as our third-string quarterback. And before some of you roll your eyes thinking, why are we talking about the third quarterback? Let me explain why this move is more important than it seems on the surface. Case Keenum is entering his 13th season in the NFL and is first with the Bears as their third-string signal caller. He now plays a small but crucial role in mentoring a young and inexperienced quarterback room, led by Caleb Williams. And folks, when we talk about developing young players, especially in the most important position on the field, the experience and wisdom of a veteran are priceless. Let's look at Keenum's career to understand the value he brings to our room. Coming into this season, the Houston Cougars alum has made a total of 66 starts across his career. His most memorable season was 2017 with the Minnesota Vikings. Keenum reached career highs in completion percentage and touchdowns after making 14 starts for the Vikings, leading them to a first-place NFC North finish. Of course, his divisional playoff game that year produced one of the most memorable plays in recent football history, a game-winning touchdown pass from Case Keenum to Stephon Diggs, now known as the Minneapolis Miracle. Can you imagine what an experience it must have been to be in that moment? That kind of experience in high-pressure moments is exactly what Caleb Williams needs to hear in the quarterback room. Since then, Keenum has only seen one full year as a starting quarterback and has bounced between 5 teams over the last 6 seasons. Now he's seeing his role change from once being a starting quarterback to a premier backup to an experienced journeyman brought in to aid in the development of young quarterbacks. In 2023, Keenum signed a 2-year deal with the Texans before they drafted C.J. Stroud, returning to the team he began his career with, and in the same city where he attended college. It was clear what the Texans' plans were with this signing. Keenum's job was to come in and bring a veteran presence to a team whose only 2 quarterbacks were a rookie and Davis Mills, who was entering his 3rd season. Keenum saw 2 games of action that year as the team won its division for the first time since 2019 behind the stellar play of his first-round pick Stroud. In 2024, Keenum didn't see the field due to a foot injury that placed him on injured reserve. In his latest offseason, Keenum signed a 1-year deal to become the 3rd quarterback on the Chicago Bears roster and a leader of another inexperienced positional group. Now, let's talk about why this is so important for our Bears. Caleb Williams is entering his 2nd year and has the weight of the world on his shoulders. After being thrust into a tougher situation than the organization originally thought last year, both Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson are doing everything they can to prepare Williams for a dominant year 2. Key additions to the offensive line were the offseason's focal point, along with surrounding Caleb with even more young talent in the air game. Still, what might be the most overlooked addition to help Caleb develop has been signing veteran Keenum, with 2nd-year quarterback Tyson Bagent as the only other quarterback on the roster last season. The Bears lacked someone for any of their young players to lean on in the room or on the field. There are plenty of growing pains as a young player in this league. Williams is under a huge microscope as the #1 pick starting quarterback for the only team without a 4,000-yard passer in the NFL. Now, both Williams and Bagent can use Keenum's experience to their advantage in hopes of returning the Bears to the playoffs for the first time since 2020. And look, I know some of you are thinking, do we really need a veteran to teach these guys how to throw a football? But it's not just about throwing mechanics or reading defenses, it's about handling media pressure. It's about responding when things go wrong on the field. It's about keeping the room's confidence when you're down 2 touchdowns in the 2nd quarter. It's about all those little things that don't show up on the stat sheet but separate successful quarterbacks. From Bears Nation, here we stand, less than 24 hours away from the most important kickoff we've had in years, and the situation is as Bears as it gets. Full of drama, full of uncertainty, but also full of possibility. We have a defensive secondary that's more shattered than Lake Michigan ice. We have national analysts who change opinions on us faster than it takes to say double doink. But we also have a new culture under Ben Johnson, a developing quarterback in Caleb Williams, and veterans like Case Keenum who know what it takes to win in this league. Tomorrow night at Soldier Field, we're going to find out what we're really made of. Not just as a team, but as fans, as a city, as an organization. The Vikings are going to come with everything they've got, led by Justin Jefferson and an offense that can score points in bunches. We're going to respond with heart, with determination, and with the blind faith that only Bears fans can have. Because at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, being a Bears fan has never been about the easy things. It's been about believing when others doubt. It's been about standing firm when injuries strike. It's been about roaring louder when the experts write us off. So I want you to do this for me. Tomorrow night, no matter what happens with Gordon, no matter what the ESPN analysts say, no matter how much pressure Caleb Williams feels, I want you to scream louder than you ever have before. I want Soldier Field to shake so much that Justin Jefferson forgets what route he's running. And after the game, regardless of the outcome, I want you to come back here to Bear Truth Sports. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, share your content with other Bears fans who need to hear the unfiltered truth about it. Because this is going to be a season that tests everything we believe about these Bears. And you're going to need a place where you'll always hear honest, passionate, and fearless analysis. Bear down, Chicago Bears. See you after the win.